Say good afternoon, everybody. Welcome everybody here to the house of Jacob.
Good afternoon, Brother Daniel.
Today, we are going to deal with a lesson I titled Servants of God, Persecuted and Afflicted. You know, when you come in this word, or when most people come in the word, they think everything's going to be just fine. You know, everybody's going to love them. Everybody's going to rejoice with them because now they've decided they're going to turn their life around. I mean, really turn their life around and start living a righteous life. You know, all that stuff that I once did, I'm not going to do that anymore. And you automatically assume that when you decide to do this, everybody's going to rejoice. Everybody's going to rejoice with you.
Yes, sir.
But you find out it is just the opposite. Because one thing I discovered, and this is with pretty much everybody, as soon as they hear this word, first thing they do is run tell their loved ones, you know, tell the friends, tell the family. Can't wait to get back to them. Tell them, look at what I found. And right away, somebody started to tell them that they got a problem. You know, when you were doing everything, they may have not thought that you was really cool, but you wasn't all that bad. But now that you just started to serve God, you decide you're going to serve God, now you got a problem. Something's wrong with you. And they even will speak evil of you. I'm not talking about just the people out there that you don't really know. I'm talking about family and friends. They're going to start to speak evil of you. But all this happens according to the scripture. That is exactly what the Lord said would happen. And this is why I like to forewarn people from time to time, especially people that are new to this word. Because if they don't understand that that's how it's going to happen, then they may be turned away from the word. Because the Lord spoke in the parable about, those that heard the word and they rejoiced. And after persecution and affliction came, then they were offended. And some even turned away from the word. But maybe if somebody had warned them that is what they should expect, maybe then they would not have been they would not have turned away from the word. So from time to time, I just like to put this lesson out there, especially for the new people. Now we're going to start this lesson out in Deuteronomy chapter 18. And we're going to begin reading at verse 15. Deuteronomy 18. And we'll pick it up at verse 15. Because the Lord had Moses to speak and said that he would raise up a prophet like unto Moses. And he said that you should hear this prophet, because this prophet not going to speak of himself, but he's going to speak only what he's been told. And the Lord said, if you do not hear this prophet, then he will require it of you. Everybody needs to understand who this prophet is. Most of you know who this prophet is. You know this prophet is talking about Jesus.
Sure.
But let's start reading at verse 15. Go ahead and read it, bro.
The Lord thy God will raise up unto thee a prophet from the midst of thee, of thy brethren, like unto me. Unto him ye shall hearken.
See, the thing with the people was they didn't want to hear God speak, because God came down and spoke to them from Mount Sinai. And all of the people, they got afraid. They got really afraid, and they said, well, we don't want to hear that voice anymore. Least we die. So now, Moses said, the Lord your God going to raise up a prophet like unto me. And he said, unto him you shall hear. Okay, you won't hear the voice of the Lord no more. You really will hear his voice, but you won't hear it as they heard it when they came out of Egypt and stood there at the Mount Sinai. Because they said, we don't want to hear that no more. So now, Moses saying the Lord your God gonna raise up a prophet from the midst of thee, like unto me. Go ahead and read.
According to all that thou desirest of the Lord thy God in Horeb,
Uh-huh.
in the day of the assembly, saying,
Go ahead.
Let me not hear again the voice of the Lord my God, neither let me see this great fire any more, that I die not.
Go ahead.
And the Lord said unto me, They have well spoken that which they have spoken. I will raise them up a prophet from among their brethren, like unto thee, and will put my words in his mouth, and he shall speak unto them all that I shall command him.
Now he said, you know, they well spoken what they have spoken. He said, I'm going to raise up a prophet like unto you, Moses, and I will put my words in his mouth, and he will speak unto them all that I have commanded. You know, he ain't going to come with his own thing. He going to speak what I have commanded him to speak. This prophet will. Go ahead and read on.
Verse 19.
Read it.
And it shall come to pass that whosoever will not hearken unto my words which he shall speak in my name, I will require it of him.
See what the Lord said, whosoever do not listen to my words that I will give unto him, then I am going to require it of them. Let's go now to John chapter 12. And we'll begin reading at verse 44. Show you this prophet is none other than Jesus. Everybody need to understand that, because many do not understand that. You know, they seem to think that Jesus came with his own thing. No, what he had is what the Father gave to him to give unto the people. Now, let's start reading at John 12, and we'll begin reading at verse 44. John 12, and we'll pick it up at verse 44. Okay, go ahead and read.
Jesus cried and said, He that believeth on me, believeth not on me, but on him that sent me.
Now, Jesus said, the one that believe on me, he don't believe on me, he believe on the one that sent me. Because one sent me, and he put his words in my mouth. And I was commanded to only speak what he said. Go ahead and read on.
And he that seeth me, seeth him that sent me.
Go ahead.
I am come a light into the world, that whosoever believeth on me should not abide in darkness.
Go ahead.
And if any man hear my words and believe not, I judge him not. For I came not to judge the world, but to save the world. He that rejected me and receiveth not my words hath one that judgeth him. The word that I have spoken, the same shall judge him in the last day.
Go ahead.
For I have not spoken of myself, but the Father which sent me, he gave me a commandment, what I should say and what I should speak.
So, and you know, we read, you know, that's what he said unto Moses, I'm going to raise this prophet up. Well, this is the prophet that he raised up. And he commanded him to speak only what he said.
Yes, sir.
And that is why Jesus said, I only speak what my Father command me. Go ahead and read on.
And I know that his commandment is life everlasting. Whatsoever I speak, therefore, even as the Father said unto me, so I speak.
So now, as Jesus said here, the Father put these words in my mouth that I spake. Now let's go over to John chapter 17, and we'll pick it up at verse 6. John 17, and we'll begin reading at verse 6. So now the Father gave Jesus the commandment to speak only what I command thee. Now those words that the Father gave unto Jesus, Jesus are going to give them to his disciples. Start reading at John chapter 17 and began reading at verse 6. 17 and 6. Okay, go ahead and read.
I have manifested thy name unto the men which thou gavest me out of the world.
Go ahead.
Thine they were, and thou gavest them me, and they have kept thy word.
Now, Jesus is saying, he praying to the Father. He said, Father, you know the words, the people that you gave me, I manifested thy name unto them. They was yours, and you gave them unto me. Go ahead and read on.
Now they have known that all things whatsoever thou hast given me are of thee.
Go ahead.
For I have given unto them the words which thou gavest me.
See what Jesus said? The words that you gave me, Father, I gave it unto them. And he said as well, and they have kept the words that you gave unto me, that I gave unto them. Go ahead and read on.
And they have received them, and have known surely that I came out from thee.
Go ahead.
And they have believed that thou didst send me. I pray for them. I pray not for the world, but for them which thou hast given me, for they are thine.
Now, Jesus said, I don't pray for the world. I pray for the ones that you have given me, because they are thine and you gave them unto me. So when I pray for them. Not for the world. Go ahead and read on.
And all mine are thine,
Uh-huh.
and thine are mine.
Go ahead.
And I am glorified in them.
Uh-huh.
And now I am no more in the world, but these are in the world, and I come to thee. Holy Father, keep through thine own name those whom thou hast given me,
Go ahead.
that they may be one as we are.
Uh-huh.
While I was with them in the world, I kept them in thy name. Those that thou gavest me I have kept, and none of them is lost, but the son of perdition, that the scripture might be fulfilled.
Now this son of perdition here, this is talking about Judas, the one that betrayed him. But go ahead and read on.
And now come I to thee,
Uh-huh.
and these things I speak in the world,
Go ahead.
that they might have my joy fulfilled in themselves.
Uh-huh.
I have given them thy word,
Go ahead.
and the world hath hated them.
Wait a minute. Jesus said, you know the one you gave me, Father? I have given them thy word, and the world have hated them. Now you would not think that would be the case. But nevertheless, that is how it is. And that is how it is with all of the servants of God. Once you receive this word, then the world is going to hate you. I've given them thy word, Father, and the world have hated them. Go ahead and read on. Why?
Because they are not of the world.
Because they are no longer of the world. As long as they were of the world, as long as they did the things of the world, then the world loved them. But once they receive that word and start to live in that word, then the world hated them. They are no longer of the world now. Go ahead and read on.
Even as I am not of the world.
Uh-huh.
I pray not that thou shouldest take them out of the world.
Now that is good. Let's go over to John chapter 15, and we'll pick it up at verse 18. So now Jesus said, you know, I've given them thy word, Father, and the world have hated them. You need to understand that. You know, everybody that desires to become a servant of God need to understand that, because that is how it is. And we're going to see that that is how it is. Nobody expects that. They expect just the opposite. But this is how it is. Now, let's go to John chapter 15, and we'll begin at verse 18. Okay, go ahead and read it.
If the world hate you, you know that it hated me before it hated you.
See what Jesus said, the world hates you. They hated me before they hated you.
Sir, that's right, brother. Yes,
And
sir.
what did he done wrong?
Nothing.
You understand what I'm saying? You can't find no fault in this one. You understand what I'm saying? But now, they have hated him. And he said, if they hate you, you know they hated me before they hated you. Go ahead and read on.
If you were of the world, the world would love his own.
You know, if you want the world to love you, all you got to do is just go right back out there in the world, then the world going to love its own.
Yes, sir.
As long as you was of the world, then the world loved you. But once you decide to become a servant of God, then the world is going to hate you. If you were of the world will love its own. Go ahead and read on.
But because you are not of the world, but I have chosen you out of the world,
Go ahead.
Therefore the world hateth you.
Go ahead and read.
Remember the word that I said unto you. The servant is not greater than his Lord. If they have persecuted me, they will also persecute you.
Expected. He's talking about the service of God here. That's who he's talking about here. And he said, if they have persecuted me, then they're going to persecute you too. This is what you need to understand. This is what you can expect. You understand what I'm telling you? But you need to just live with that persecution, because there is a great reward if you suffer through this persecution that you are certainly going to get. I don't care who you are. This applies to everybody, whether you male, female, Jew, or Gentile. It does not matter. It's going to come. Once you get this word, the persecution follows.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
From family, from friends, from everybody. The persecution is going to come, people. Go ahead. What verse are we?
End of verse 20.
Go ahead and read it.
If they have kept my saying, they will keep yours also.
And he said, if they have kept my saying, all you doing is telling them what thus said the Lord.
Yes, sir. That's right.
So now
brother.
he said, if they had kept my saying, then they would keep yours also. Because once you really become a servant of God, you ain't going to bring nothing to nobody except the word of God.
Yes, sir. That's right, brother.
And he said, if they have kept my saying, they will keep yours also. And if they reject that means they reject him as well. And if they reject him, that means that they reject the Father. Because he got it from the Father.
That's right.
He gave it to you. Now you trying to give it to them. But if they reject it, then they have not rejected you so much as they have rejected the Father. Go ahead and read on.
But all these things will they do unto you for my name's sake.
Go ahead.
Because they know not him that sent me.
Read it.
If I had not come and spoken unto them, they had not had sin. But now they have no cloak for their sin.
See what the Lord said, if I had not come and spoken unto them, they would not have sin. Now because I have spoken unto them, now they don't have any cloak for their sin. There's nothing for them to hide by. You know, you can't make that excuse, well, I didn't know now.
That's right, brother. Yes, sir.
Yes, you do. Because he gave it to you. You understand what I'm saying? He gave it to somebody, and they gave it to you. Therefore, you don't have a cloak anymore to hide behind. Go ahead and read on.
He that hateth me hateth my Father also.
And if you hate him, then you hate the Father too. Because he told you that my doctrine is not mine, it is the Father's doctrine. He gave it unto me. So if you hate me, then you hate the Father as well. Go ahead and read on.
If I had not done among them the works which none other man did, they had not had sin.
Go ahead.
But now have they both seen and hated both me and my Father.
Go ahead.
But this cometh to pass that the word might be fulfilled that is written in their law. They hated me without a cause.
And they did. What did he do?
Nothing, brother.
He did nothing wrong. Everything he did was right. So he said, the word that was spoken by the prophet, it was spoken by the prophet in Psalm. They hated me without a cause. All that stuff that they did to him, it was without a cause. Yes, let's go now to Matthew chapter 5, and we'll pick it up at verse 10. Okay. 5 and 10. Because it didn't just start, people. Didn't just start with Jesus. Didn't just start with the apostles. They did it to the prophets as well. Matthew chapter 5. And we'll pick it up at verse 10. Matthew 5 and begin reading at verse 10. 5 and 10. Okay, go ahead and read.
Blessed are they which are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven.
Well, it's a good thing to be persecuted.
Yes, sir.
For righteousness' sake, he said. You know, you can get persecution for doing evil, and you can get persecution for doing righteous as well. But he said, blessed are you if you are persecuted for righteousness' sake. That's a good thing. You understand what I'm saying? If you are persecuted for doing righteous, then that is a good thing. Sure. That means that you're doing something right. You understand what I'm saying?
Sir.
That's right.
Go ahead and read on.
Blessed are ye when men shall revile you and persecute you, and shall say all manner of evil against you falsely for my sake.
See what it said? Blessed are ye when men shall revile you and persecute you, and shall say all manner of evil against you for my sake. Because you are dealing with the word. What do you mean by for my sake? Because you are dealing with the word. You have decided, you know, I'm going to follow the master now. So they're going to persecute you and they're going to revile you for righteousness' sake. Go ahead and read on.
Rejoice and be exceeding glad.
Lord said, when they do that to you, then rejoice and be exceedingly glad. Some of the best news I've ever heard when somebody said, you know, I don't like that brother, but he's a brother that tried to walk in righteousness.
Yes, sir.
That is the best news that I've ever heard.
Yes.
That means that I'm doing something right. If I wasn't doing something right, then they wouldn't be saying that.
Okay.
Go ahead and read on.
For great is your reward in heaven.
See what it said? For great is your reward in heaven. You got a reward coming when you are persecuted for righteousness' sake. Go ahead and read on.
For so persecuted they the prophets which were before
See
you.
what it said? For they did the prophets that were before you. So they got it. All of the prophets, they got the persecution.
That's right.
All of the righteous got the persecution. All down through all generations, the persecution came with the righteousness. Let's go now to Matthew chapter 26. And we're going to pick it up at verse 1. 26 and 1. Okay. Go ahead and read.
And it came to pass, when Jesus had finished all these things, he said unto his disciples,
Go ahead.
You know that after 2 days is the feast of the Passover, and the Son of Man is betrayed to be crucified.
Now, he was being crucified, and he was being crucified for the world. That's who he would be crucified for. And we're going to get to the, this feast of the Passover in its season, which is just a couple of weeks away. But go ahead and read on.
Then assembled together the chief priests and the scribes and the elders of the people unto the palace of the high priest, who was called Caiaphas.
Now look at it, who assembled together
Okay.
to try and find a reason to put him to death. It was the religious leaders that did it. Assembled together the chief priests and the scribes and the elders of the people unto the high priest Caiaphas. Go ahead and read on.
And consulted that they might take Jesus by subtlety and kill him.
See what I'm saying? And they consulted how they might take him by trickery and kill him. They couldn't find nothing unjust. So now they have consulted together to take him by subtlety and to put him to death. It was the religious leaders that did that. Skip down now to verse 57. Go ahead and read it.
And they that had laid hold on Jesus led him away to Caiaphas the high priest,
Go ahead.
where the scribes and the elders were assembled. But Peter followed him afar off unto the high priest's palace, and went in, and sat with the servants to see the end.
Go ahead.
Now the chief priests and elders and all the council sought false witness against Jesus to put him to death.
Well, if the man is guilty of something wrong, why do you need some false witnesses to put him to death?
Yes, sir.
But now it is the religious leaders. You understand what I'm saying? That is the one that have consulted to put him to death. And they had to come up with some way of trying to justify this thing. So then they looked for some false witnesses that they could come up and lie and say this man done did something wrong, and now we have a reason to put him to death. Go ahead and read on.
Verse 60.
Go ahead and read.
But found none. Yea, though many false witnesses came, yet found they none.
Go ahead.
At the last came 2 false witnesses.
Now, they looked for some, and then they couldn't find them. They bring up these 2. And, well, what you going to say? Well, we don't like your story. That don't sound too good. Well, what you going to say? We don't like your story either. It don't sound too good either. Finally, they found them 2. We like your story. It should work. Go ahead and read on.
And said,
Go ahead.
This fellow said, I am able to destroy the temple of God and to build it in 3 days.
Go ahead and read.
And the high priest arose and said unto him, Answerest thou nothing? What is it which these witness against thee? And Jesus held his peace. And the high priest answered and said unto him, I adjure thee by the living God, that thou tell us whether thou be the Christ, the Son of God.
Go ahead.
Jesus saith unto him, Thou hast said. Nevertheless, I say unto you, hereafter shall ye see the Son of Man sitting on the right hand of power and coming in the clouds of heaven.
Go ahead and read.
Then the high priest rent his clothes, saying, He hath spoken blasphemy. What further need have we of witnesses? Behold, now ye have heard his blasphemy.
Go ahead.
What think ye? They answered and said, He is guilty of death. Then did they spit in his face and buffeted him, and others smote him with the palms of their hands, saying, Prophesy unto us, thou Christ, for who is he that smote thee? Now Peter sat without in the palace, and a damsel came unto him, saying, Thou also wast with Jesus of Galilee.
So now, I'm just showing you the one that consulted to put him to death. It was the religious leader, and they didn't have no just cause of putting him to death. But nevertheless, they consulted to put him to death anyway. Let's go now to Matthew chapter 23, and we'll pick it up at verse 27. Matthew 23, and we'll begin reading at verse 27. You know, it was the Pharisees and the Sadducees and the religious leaders that all had consulted to put him to death without a just cause for putting him to death. He had done absolutely nothing. But nevertheless, they persecuted him anyway. And if you be a servant, they're going to persecute you too. Let's start reading at Matthew chapter 23, and we'll pick it up at verse 27. 23 and 27. And Jesus even told you, if they're going to persecute me, they're going to persecute you too. Make certain you understand that, because you're going to get it. Make no mistake about it. Start reading at 23 and 27. Because I have people come to me and they wonder why their family and their friends have turned against them now. Well, now you know, because you got the word of God. That is why they turned against you. He said if they hated you, they're going to hate me. If they hated me, they're going to hate you also.
That's right, brother. Yes, sir.
Why?